Welcome, everybody, to our first EdTech Playground of the year. We're so excited and lucky because today we're going to be talking about Adobe Express beyond the textbook, creative learning with Adobe Express. And we have the wonderful Anne Kozma, who we'll introduce momentarily. But again, this is just such an exciting first EdTech Playground. This tool can be used really in any content area and across the whole school year. So we're happy that you are all here today. The first thing that we want to get started with is a warm welcome question that's going to get us in the headspace of just kind of design. So one of my fellow 10 members is going to open up the Zoom poll right now, but here's your question for the day. What's your go-to design tool for student projects? Adobe Express, Google Slides or Docs, Canva, paper, markers, and glue. And which, by the way, all of them are acceptable, wonderful answers. Sometimes paper, marker, and glue, they just do the trick, right? So I'll go ahead and just give you a couple minutes for the poll there. Love it. I see some answers in our chat as well. Yeah, slides was like the original design tool, right? Where you could kind of be free from any of the like Google Docs or Word document kind of margins. And I can still never get images to work well in any kind of doc. So slides is the original creative space for sure. Awesome. Nice, nice. Couple more minutes. I still see that people are still answering the poll there. We've got Canva and Adobe Express right around almost about the same. And those two tools, I think a lot of the time comes down to what is your district allowing, right? What are they giving you access to? What have they maybe set up for your students? And I think today you're going to learn that Adobe Express has some really cool ways to just engage students, keep them safe, and just open up some innovation opportunities for them. All right. Oh, yeah, Gloria, great point. Sometimes in kindergarten, you got to just pull out the paper, the glue, the scissors with supervision. Absolutely. Love it. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap up that poll. And it looks like we've ended with Google Slides and Docs kind of being the top go-to. And I, again, definitely relate to that. I still use Google Slides for some simplistic things. But hopefully today you're going to see how Adobe Express may be able to just supplement that for you quite a bit. All right.
Yeah. So I ended the poll. So can you see the results? Uh,
Let's
the
see. I
results.
can see them on my screen. What about y'all?
Mhm.
This is us testing a new tool again.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, so just in case you're not seeing it, we've got Google Slides and Docs at 57% as your
Mhm.
go-to tool. Next, we have Canva at 22%, and then Adobe Express at 13%, and paper markers and glue at 9%. We probably should have had a fifth choice of like some kind of combination of all four, right? All right. Well, thanks for joining in our poll. And one more thing before we get started, I just want to introduce this fabulous team that I've been working with. This is our fourth year hosting EdTech Playgrounds for the Teacher Innovation Network. So I'm Tani Reinhardt. I work as an EdTech coordinator at the Sacramento County Office of Education. And we have Stephanie from our Santa Cruz County Office of Education, who's an EdTech and Innovation TOSA. We also have Sarah Kolbeck, another EdTech coordinator from Shasta County Office of Education. And last but definitely not least, Anu Gupta, another EdTech coordinator from Santa Clara County Office of Education. We like to joke that we're all SCOEs, and that was not intentional when we met each other. But this group of ladies is the reason that we are able to have these wonderful EdTech playgrounds, and I just appreciate all of them so, so much. And one more thing, what about you? Where are you from? We have a Padlet map that we actually started in our first year, and we just love seeing where everybody comes from, where you're joining us from. We often see a lot of people outside of California as well, which is really exciting. So my team's dropping that link into our chat, and go ahead whenever you get a chance, just add yourself into our map. But for today, we are moving over into our featured speaker. And once Anne presents all her amazing resources and tips in Adobe Express, we'll wrap up with just some information about what's coming up this next year and some closing thoughts. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Sarah to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you so much, Tawny. I am so excited to be the one to introduce my friend, Anne. Anne Kozma is an education evangelist with Adobe and loves to encourage others to push all the buttons and play to learn as they use technology to transform teaching and learning. She has spent over 24 years empowering others in education as a classroom teacher, K-8 Innovation TOSA, and as a Flipgrid educator innovation lead at Microsoft. And now she's at Adobe, and she's on a mission to inspire and empower the next generation to be lifelong creators. Recognized for her enthusiasm and spirit, Anne loves to champion for others, to celebrate community, and lives with a hashtag better together mindset. She's an alumni of the Apple Distinguished Educator class of 2015 and loves a slow stroll to collect seashells in her free time. Welcome, Anne.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm so excited to be here with you all today. I want to say thank you to all the SCOE folks on the call, Santa Clara County, Santa Cruz County, Sacramento, and Shasta County. This is not my first EdTech playground with you all, but I'm absolutely honored to be back and helping y'all kick off a brand new year of this. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Y'all should be seeing my page now. And what I want to do is call out the link on the front page. That is a quick slide deck that I have available for everybody. And the reason I have a slide deck for you all is there are a ton of resources linked at the end. Excuse me. I'm just going to pop open the chat too. I do love to see what folks are asking, or if you have questions in real time, please, please, please feel free to use the chat. I have 41 minutes, 35 seconds with y'all. I have my timer ready, and I have hopefully some really fun hands-on learning experiences prepared for you, but also insights to help you understand how Adobe Express for Education can be leveraged in your learning community. So the slides are that adobe.ly/edtechplayground. Also, nationaltoday.com or nationalday.com. It's Education Technology Day, everybody. So if you didn't know that, happy EdTech Day. What an awesome kickoff day for y'all to have your first playground. And I'm ready to jump right in. So in the deck, I have, of course, these resources and the links, but I want to know in the chat from a 0 as I'm a beginning level to a 5, like a fist to 5. Why don't y'all drop into the chat where you're at or your feelings of comfort or awareness of Adobe Express for Education? Every answer is the right answer, just like that awesome poll, because there are so many ways that we can empower our students as creators to share and showcase learning. So I'm seeing 3s, I'm seeing 2s, I'm seeing 1s, which is fantastic. Just let me know. It helps me kind of get a sense of where you're at. But I wanted to start simply by sharing a few big ideas and big conceptual things about Adobe Express for Education, since I was thinking there might be some folks who are newer to this platform. Adobe Express is 100% free for K-12, and that's something that I absolutely love to share. This is a digital media app that engages students and also supports imagination, while building future-ready skills. You know, you probably have conversations about critical thinking and all of those 21st century skills across your learning communities. But even conversations in places like the World Economic Forum saying creative thinking is an essential skill as we're moving into and closer to 2030 every year. So from expressing ideas to building communication and visual storytelling and design skills, Adobe Express is sort of that all-in-one creativity tool that you can use. I'm going to mention it again. It is completely free. And you'll hear me today say Adobe Express for education multiple times, because Adobe Express also exists as one of Adobe's creativity tools. But the for education is the distinguishing factor that gets you into the K-12 experience that was designed responsibly for you, for your students. It has different workflows that are education specific, standards aligned templates, responsible generative AI features, etc. So on the screen, you see these big value props from engaging, you know, imagination, and I mentioned curricular alignment, standards alignment. I will point out to you how you can see and find all of those things. Building future-ready skills while also empowering with creativity tools and generative AI, which many of you are probably talking about or exploring in your own learning space with. The critical thinking and then saving teachers time, which is a big value prop I love to share. So what I want to do is dig into this. And since many of you mentioned you were newer to the platform, I want to actually go ahead and share one of the resources. This is linked at the end, and it's a little bit of a how to get started with Adobe Express for education. So you see some information, but it is just kind of like a review of what's brand new, how do you get started if you're using a single sign-on, etc. That's a great place to kind of get a little bit more familiar with the product. So here's the tab that I'm looking for, and this is just how to get started. You're on your way, whether you're using Clever, ClassLink, etc. But this is a quick tour button, and actually this is where we're going to start. We have a few minutes to dig into this, and I thought it would be helpful and valuable since many of you are newer to the product, but it gives you a big umbrella oversight into the breadth of possibility of creating with Adobe Express. And if you're familiar with the name Adobe, you're probably familiar with PDFs, but Adobe is the largest creativity company in the world, and there are so many different things that you can do inside of Express. So I'm going to pop this into full screen and go ahead and play this for just a few minutes and let it give you a big vision overview of all kinds of creative possibilities inside of Adobe Express.
Welcome to your quick tour of Adobe Express for Education, the digital media app that engages student imagination and builds future-ready skills. In the next few minutes, we'll give you a quick tour of what's new, help you get oriented, and show you how to confidently create with Adobe Express, whether you're just getting started or picking up where you left off. Let's dive in. First up, introducing the new Home. Redesigned with direct input from teachers and students, the updated Home makes it easier than ever to jump in and start creating. The cleaner layout, faster navigation, and more intuitive design helps you find what you need quickly so you can spend more time creating. And don't worry, any projects you've already created in your EDU Express account are still safe in your stuff, exactly where you left them, or here in the Recent Files scroll bar. Nothing has been lost. We'll start by walking through what all users see, create and edit. If you're an educator, you also get an extra tab called Teach. The Create tab is your launchpad for starting something new in Adobe Express, with quick start cards to help you jump right into a project. From generating AI images, if your school has that feature enabled, and QR codes, to designing posters, infographics, and logos. Jump into ready-to-edit templates for videos, drawings, presentations, and web pages, or bring your voice to life with animated characters. The Create tab makes it easy for anyone to jump in and start creating right away. No design experience needed. Now let's take a look at the Edit tab where you can access the quick actions, simple time-saving tools that help you get things done fast without needing advanced editing skills. You can remove backgrounds or objects from images, insert new ones, and convert files between formats like PDF and SVG. Easily edit PDFs, add captions to videos, convert videos to GIFs, and combine multiple files into one, all with just a few clicks. The Teach tab is only visible to educators and serves as your dedicated space for classroom-ready tools, resources, and inspiration. Some features may vary by region, so if you don't see everything just yet, check back soon as we continue to optimize globally. Start with a 30-minute self-paced course to build confidence and earn your Adobe Creative Educator badge. From there, explore curated templates and activities by subject or grade, create and manage assignments, showcase student work in visual galleries, and get quick tips from fellow educators. Now that we've walked you through the new home updates for both educators and students, let's take a look at the left-hand menu in Express. While the new home experience makes it easier to get started, the left-hand menu is still your go-to for organizing work, managing classrooms, and finding inspiration. Just a quick note, the order of these items may change in the future, but the content and functionality of each will stay the same. Here's a quick overview. Home. Click the home icon anytime to return to your main landing page. Your stuff. This is where all your projects are stored. You can rename, organize, and edit your work here. Classrooms. Teachers can create classrooms, assign projects, track progress, and add co-teachers. Students can join classes, complete assignments, and receive feedback. Activities. This tab is only for teachers. It includes guided activities, standards-aligned templates, and short videos showing how other teachers use Express. Templates. Explore templates, photos, videos, and text to add to your projects. Learn. Find quick tutorials and how-to guides to build creative skills. Brands. Set up or browse brand kits to keep your designs consistent. And that's your quick tour of the new Adobe Express for Education. Whether you're a first-time user or returning to a refreshed experience, everything is designed to help you create with confidence. We can't wait to see what you'll make, so jump in, explore, and start creating today.
So that was a real fast overview of so many possibilities that exist in the platform. And I know it's kind of chatting, like when I said an all-in-one creativity tool, it literally is from editing PDFs to creating QR codes to creating web pages or infographics or using over 80 different digital drawing and inking tools for annotations to build creative confidence or even work on fine motor skills with your youngest of scholars. So the cool thing, again, completely free, created for K-12, but also why for education is every filter, every template, all of the things were built and added with education in mind. So from standards aligned activities to collaborating with co-teachers, etc. This is everything for you at your fingertips. Speaking of resources at your fingertips, if you are in the slide deck, I do want to take a moment and jump into a resource before we jump into our activity and start creating. I am a visual learner. I love seeing examples, but I also know that all of you as educators, we are modeling lifelong learning for our students and our learning communities. And so this resource right here will launch you into a brand new, like dynamic resource that is called Text to Image Tips. Thank you, Judy, in the chat. She's saying this is a great resource. This is literally one of my favorite things to share. As we're like moving as humans into this world that is dominated by AI and figuring out how do we empower our students to know about how to write an effective prompt or how we're generating images in our class, this not only covers like how to draft a prompt and putting like a subject style background. To me, it's a reflection of how literacy is embedded in everything we do. This is descriptive writing. This is including details. This is conversation. This is vocabulary development. This is the iteration of making content match meaningfully and purposefully what you're trying to do in the classroom. So I used this as a learning prompt for my own professional learning, but I encourage educators to be familiar with this resource because it's a really dynamic way to bring learning to life for your students as well. Here are some great examples. This is the exact same prompt, a joyful purple-haired girl at a coffee shop. But notice it's 16-bit retro gaming style, cartoon doll style, anime style, flat art, isometric. Or going with this otter playing in a river surrounded by tall pine trees in a hyper-realistic photo, vintage newspaper, pencil watercolor, low poly, and voxel. That alone speaks to the breadth of possibilities when you're creating content, but how artistic styles can change too. Inside of the image generator, inside of Adobe Express, you have the ability to use style and composition references. And what that means is the style allows all of the things to be generated in a specific style or theme. Notice this is plants, shrubbery, flowers. And the composition means the outline, the shapes, and the form will stay similar. So going from this inspirational sketch with pencil into, shrubs, gelatin, water, cardboard, and crayons. But this right here, I think, is a dynamic entry point when you think about how simple a prompt could be from a dark and stormy night, but the multiple iterations you can take a prompt through into the dark mood, messy, smeared, charcoal style, dark and stormy night with an old Victorian house, flickering candles in the window, and a path leading to the front door. So this is literally a resource meant to help you and your students, but also give you a ton of text to image classroom ideas and then prompt ideas that literally speak to the breadth of possibility, like a split world style, whether you're envisioning habitats and biomes or a whole new scientific world that your students are creating, or a wool felted style. Never in my life had I ever considered creating a picture like that. So I share that simply as a resource for best practices because what we're going to do together hands-on is actually create content inside of Adobe Express as we learn how to edit content and a little bit more about the platform. So the link to, I don't know if one of y'all on the call, this adobe.ly ace quilt, you can type that into your browser. I'll also grab the link and drop it in the chat in just a moment. But right here, this is our monthly creative challenge for September. And this is a great play-based experience for us to lead with because within 5 minutes, we can get to a finished product. We are going to design an embroidered quilt square that reflects who you are. And why is this meaningful now, especially in the first few weeks to a month, month and a half of school? We're building community. We're celebrating identity. We're recognizing the unique individuals that make up the culture and the classroom that you're building. But also it could be literary characters or story elements or settings or scientific concepts or vocabulary words or any really cool way to actually empower your students to share and showcase learning. This is our team's community quilt. Here's mine. You can probably tell a little bit about me as an individual from it, but notice how international our community is, from Meredith sharing the Welsh dragon to my teammate Nicole in Northern Ireland, who always ends every virtual call saying these 3 words: peace, love, and hugs. So I love that this just speaks to possibilities where you could learn about the scholars in your community or even apply it to any curricular area. This is what it looks like when you're leveraging the galleries feature. This is a feature embedded within Adobe Express Classrooms. But if you are familiar with other grid-based celebrations of learning, we have our own inside of the product called Galleries. It's a new feature late last spring. But what we're actually going to do, I'm going to launch a brand new tab and show you the Adobe, if I can type and talk at the same time, and it was Edu Quilt. So I'm going to grab that link. I know, Stephanie, thank you, dropped it right into the chat. If you want to click on this one, it'll take you right to an editable template that you will launch on your screen. And this is a guided activity. The reason it's called a guided activity inside of Adobe Express is you'll see on the right side of the screen literal step-by-step directions. This is a 2-minute video that tells us what to do. There's captioning in English and in Spanish. You can pop this out full screen or even just have it as a pop out on your canvas and let the video play and guide you step by step through the experience. If you happen to click on the X and close out all of that, don't worry, you can always find these directions right with this light bulb. I love that this sets everybody up for success, from students, even us as educators, front-loading our community, how to complete this. But notice there's text-based directions also that literally tell you step 1, step 2, step 3, how to complete the project. So I want to point that out to you, but I also want to point out right here the layers that pop up on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and close the layer panel and point out it's literally that icon that looks like a stack of papers. And when you're creating inside of Adobe Express for Education, I want you to think of everything as like your creative canvas, but you're literally stacking elements on top of each other. Think of your most epic sandwich, your In-N-Out hamburger order, whatever it is, all of the individual layers. And when you click on a different element, you will notice the left side of the screen, all of the editing options change. So this is text effects. You have that editor on the left side. This is an image with generative AI, so you have the image editor. This is a text box, so you see the text editor. This is just an icon, so you see that image editor, right? The background outline that looks like a stitching pattern. What we're going to do is simply follow these directions together today so I can teach you a little bit deeper on how to edit things, but what you should be aware of. So let's get started on your screen. Click on that patch. And again, you notice the image editing options pop up. So you see different ways that you can edit the images, different effects you can apply, or animation. But what I want you to do is look for this colorful box right in the center that says Generate Image. And what we're going to do is click on that. And if your district has the generative AI enabled inside of Adobe Express, this will be where you simply describe what you want to see. And the directions right here say, use Generate Image to create a patch with imagery that represents you. Keep the keywords colorful embroidery patch in the shape of at the beginning and transparent background at the end. Now, a few pro tips. If you don't want to worry about, how do I undo, or if I mess up something, a lot of teachers like to teach their students to duplicate the page. And now they have the original and they have a page that they can mark up, edit, duplicate, remix, anything that they want to. So I've just made 2 pages. I'm going back to the first one. I'm clicking on my image. I'm clicking on Generate Image, and I'm keeping colorful embroidery patch in the shape of, and I'm simply going to edit and personalize my prompt. I want to challenge you to do the same thing right now and think about what you could describe, your passions, your interests, something that makes inherently you, and generate a patch to describe yourself. So I'm going to say a colorful embroidery patch in the shape of, I'm going to eliminate that, an embroidery patch of a bucket, red and white striped bucket. Right, a popcorn and a glass of peach. I cannot type and talk at the same time. right? Of peach tea on a transparent background. So you'll see my patch begins to populate. I think I wrote stripped instead of striped, which is fine. You'll notice sometimes text, spelling errors, etc. It still generated my patch, right? So I see different options that begin to pop up. I can even generate more, and it will automatically update whatever is on your screen. So notice the original size is different than the new size that I populated. And that's okay. What I simply can do is double click, and I can use these editing, points to drag and resize content. So this is what you're working on right now to customize a patch that's something about you, whether it's silly or whether it's serious. I want you to try this out right now. And then notice how simple it is to click into the next item and edit it. I'm going to click on this text box and say why this represents me. So this represents me because I love to watch movies and have a popcorn snack. My favorite drink is peach iced tea. Right? 2 simple facts about me. Now, again, this can be as sophisticated or as simple as you want it to be. And again, you're simply clicking on an item to see different things that you can edit. I know I'm going a little bit fast through this because we do want to be able to complete this, and I want to show you some other things in the product. But this is meant to give you that overview, that hands-on play-based experience to see how the tools work and know different elements allow you to see different editing options. My text box, you'll notice I have recommended fonts that pop up. This is another way that AI is working and providing support for design by suggesting fonts or even more accessible or visually interesting fonts. You can simply click view all. You, of course, can choose the drop down and choose from different fonts if you want. You can change your color. You can use that color picker tool if you wanted to go ahead and customize and create a specific visual representation with color matching. You can even click on the little tool that says theme across the top and go into different color themes if you want to get deeper into design theory, etc. But I want you to go ahead and be clicking into these different elements and see how different options pop up. Right now, I've clicked on that yellow, the like fabric swatch. And notice when I click on effects, I can go in and I can apply different tones, and I can begin to play with the way this is showing up on my screen and finding something that might, match or apply, to my favorite color. I can always click undo if I want to. So I want you to feel comfortable in this. How many of y'all are having success? If you're finding like, oh, hey, my picture's not really turning out how I want it to, you simply click on the image. Right now, since I'm in an effect option, I would simply click on that edit option and go back to where it says generate image, and I will always get back to my prompt. Now, I was doing this with educators in NorCal last week, and they were like, how do I get multiple patches? What do I do? You can either have a very specific, detailed prompt for a very full patch, or guess what? When I click on this, notice I can click on those 3 dots and simply duplicate it. And I can begin to duplicate and add as many patches as I want. Again, repeating that process by clicking generate image and simply update my prompt. So I'm going to go ahead and have a colorful embroidery patch of a stack of colorful books, right? And go ahead and click generate more if you want to see alternative options, and just begin to customize and personalize your patch. Oh, I like this one. I'm going to click generate more though and see what we get. This is why I say even generating images using this is a lesson in literacy or a lesson in vocabulary or that kind of like deeper text-based discussion, because the more details in your prompt, the more specific your prompt is according to what information you are providing. So I'm going to go ahead and add that patch too. And then I want to talk to you quickly about text effects. Notice when you click on this, this is a whole other type of AI generative option inside of Adobe Express for text. You can simply tell it what you want it to look like, from lava to a cactus, to flowers, to water droplets, to a disco ball, to gold glitter, to a white embroidered felt patch, right? Or you can even use inspiration that's automatically provided for you, like gem stickers or marble stone, or there's that cactus and a fiddle leaf fig or sheep's wool, a woven basket. All of this is provided for you not only to help students feel creative, but also eliminate some of the really hard, how do I do that? Because it's built in as prompts and templates for you. So let's see, I'm going to make this into a disco ball. And notice that automatically updates for you. Sometimes these text effects just take a few extra moments to generate. You'll see one letter pops up, maybe faster than the others, but if you give it a moment, it will simply update. And I'm going to make mine say Anne. I might add one more patch. What questions do you have while you're generating this? If anybody has questions while you're working, drop them in the chat. I can demo things live, but what I hope is happening right now is you're actually clicking a bunch of buttons and creating something in real time to see possibilities. So let me do this. I'm going to duplicate this one more time. One of my favorite things in the world to do. Oh, cool. Yeah, thanks, Tawny. I love it. The duplicate, it's such an easy, fast way. And I love to say every click matters. So in our workflow, like learning how to speed up the process, but they're also just little pro tips to help our students know, how they could kind of transform their own design process too. So I'm going to do a colorful embroidery patch of a Joshua tree and a sunset sky. All right. I love going out to Joshua Tree and hiking here in the Southern California desert. It's like my favorite place on the planet. So anytime I'm creating an example, I always have a Joshua tree inside of it. So, oh, I love how these turned out. I'm going to stick, I think, maybe with this one. And I need to tweak the size a little bit. So I'm simply going to double click. And notice anytime you click on something, those little touch points, simply it allows you to drag, to resize. A double click gets you a little bit of deeper in with some of those like grids to help you align things. You can even rotate images, have them at a different angle. And then the last thing I want to point out is this purple background. Notice if you click on that purple layer, what if you don't want a purple background? You want to further customize, you simply click on effects, and this has a different tone attached to it. So that's again how you see, wow, that purple maybe is pretty nice, but I like the blue and I like the contrast with the yellow. So again, everything is clickable, everything is editable. I'm going to remix these disco balls because I didn't like the way it was looking. All right. So I now have finished mine. I know you're actively working on yours. And for the sake of time, what I want to point out before I transition and show you a few other things are the buttons across the top that are really, really important. Former first grade teacher, and anytime as a K-8 innovation coach also, I would go into classrooms and I say, we got to name on our paper first thing, or give your project a title, right? So across the top, notice Adobe Express for Education. Untitled, September 23. So this is Anne, Quilt Square. I'm going to simply give it a title, Quilt Project, right? And then I just click out of it. It automatically saves for you. You do not have to worry about clicking save, save, save. But I would get in the habit of giving you and your scholars just the practice of giving your project a title. And then I want to point out the undo button at the top. That undo button, of course, is exactly what you know, undo if students want to go back a step or multiple steps. The other buttons across the top, you can tell invite or share, the learn tab, commenting features. But I want to point out the download button because, again, if your students are doing a project like this or anything they create inside Adobe Express, you get to determine the file format. If it's a static image or asset, it's typically a JPEG, PNG, or PDF file. If it's video, of course, you'll see video options. You can determine the singular page or all pages, etc., and then choose to download it. That share button is another button to be familiar with, how you could share your design. Some educators working with younger students who might not be using a virtual back and forth to turn in or assign content. I've heard some kindergarten teachers or first grade teachers say, oh, we just tell our students to click share and start typing our name, and the teacher name pops up because it's in the same domain. I don't want extra emails in my inbox. So those are different things to consider based on how you want your students to share. But this is also where you could change access privileges or get that view only link that students could use to create QR codes in Adobe Express, Google Classroom, Teams integration, etc. And notice how my button says assign in the top right corner. This is also how, before your students create, you could assign content to them virtually using that classroom feature, or have that back and shade, just assigning a template. Hey, it's just like a Google Doc or a Word doc, etc. And it's that back and forth flow. But they would see turn in instead of assign because, of course, they don't have that student teacher view. That's a little bit different. So folks, that's a real fast hands-on. Judy, great question. Anytime if you want to change, notice you can replace the background layer. I'm going to click on that layer. I see that it is outlined with that big purple outline box. I can actually delete it if I want to. I'm gonna shrink my template a little bit so you can see it. So I have that trash. I can undo and remove the background. I can go in, I can add my own custom media or pictures. I could generate an image using that media feature on the left side. Remember, you have access and your students have access to all of the Adobe stock library, from photos to videos, etc. So maybe I wanted to do a garden background, right? And just a garden background. And here I have like a plain old background, but notice I can click on it and I can send it to the back. And I would want to resize it and fit it. I could also use effects and just automatically assign something as the background image. Great question. Again, just a reminder that when you're using the layers, that's a great reminder to know which layer you are working in. So folks, before we run out of time, I want to reset and go to the home page and show you a few other things to be familiar with, because we mentioned that home-based experience, and we found this monthly creative challenge right here when we log into our home-based experience. That is also how you can open it or you can launch it. But I mentioned that as one of the guided activities. So this is something, if you have a big takeaway from learning, beyond learning how to edit things today, it is these guided activities. There are over 40 of them, and our team adds a brand new one every year. The October one is already live in product too, and I'll give you a sneak peek. All of these are customizable and editable and can be used as simple or as sophisticated as you want them to be. From creating public safety announcements to designing gratitude journals or animal habitats, or visualizing mathematical thinking with infographics, or designing t-shirts, or even an all about me graphic. This book bento box, surprise, that's going to be the one for October. So celebrating literature or bringing story elements to life using generative AI. All of these are guided activities that have that video and text-based support. And again, they can be found right here. Definitely feel free to familiarize yourself with some of the other tools or click into that teach and that edit option. But this is the home base experience you find when you're inside of Adobe Express for Education. And you can always reset from that home button. I like to teach students to click the colorful rainbow A, and that's how you always reset yourself. Now you will always see your recent projects along the bottom. So I could get right back to my quilt project, or I could always go into your stuff and get right back into any of the projects you previously have been working on. So folks, we're coming close on time. I hope you have had a lot of hands-on learning moments. But what I want to do is just come back to that original slide deck and share a few more resources before I hand it back to the team. Think about these community quilts and what we just experienced together today, and how might this particular guided activity might be used in your classroom. You're welcome to add something in the chat if your brain is spinning and you have new ideas. But what I want to do is also make sure you know how to get connected to our community. We have a really dynamic group of educators who are sharing projects with and from their community. Not only can you be part of the Adobe Leader community, I'm going to come right back into our product right here. I want to show you in our activities tab in the product. This is where you find standards aligned classroom activities. How to get right back into, oh, hey, yeah, I'm working on infographics. This makes sense about using maps or different representation of learning. Definitely familiarize yourself with this, but under the Learn tab, this is also where you can find educator collections. These are brand new features in our community. So I know Stephanie just shared the maker spaces. This is from Tim Needles, an author and educator who is definitely sharing ideas and remixable templates from his community for your community. But this is what our ACE Leader community is all about. It's sharing ideas with and from us as a better together and continue learning. This is here as a resource. I know y'all are well into back to school, but we have tons of ready to use, ready-made templates for all of you. And then I want to point out this page before I share the last thought and then turn it back over to the team. If anybody is brand new and they want that support for how to get started, this is a great how-to, literally from using a single sign-on or making sure it's activated for your community. This is that generative AI resource and our community homepage. But I want to call out our student live stream series, which is a contest that we put on every month where we go live into virtual live streams in your classroom. And we are just sharing how to use the tools, but it's our team guiding your students through this in real time. And it's a great way to build that creative confidence, but also how to use the tool with guidance. And I know next month's EdTech Playground is in partnership with KQED. They're awesome partners of ours, so I just wanted to call out another opportunity of how to use Adobe Express to create photo essays that set you up for success with those youth media challenges that KQED puts on. So Stephanie just shared the links in the slide deck. I just want to say thank you to the SCOE team across all these county offices. I already stopped sharing my screen. It's 4:52. That's my moment to hand it back to y'all on time. But thanks for giving me the platform to share this dynamic resource. I hope y'all see possibilities for how Adobe Express for Education can bring learning to life in your classroom. So thanks, everybody. I'll stick around for any other questions in the chat, too.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Anne. We do have a couple moments. If anybody has a question for Anne before we have some of our closing pieces, please feel free to either unmute your mic and share your question out loud, or you can also put questions in the chat while we have Anne for another few moments. I know I personally made a patch, played away while you were demoing, Anne, and I can't wait to get home. I have two children at home, 7 and 10, and I know what we're doing today when I get home from work.
Awesome. And Anu, thank you. If Shell has changed her social handle, I'll double check that too, that her handle is updated. I saw that DM too. Thank you. Okay, cool.
Okay, lots of appreciations in the chat. And Tawny, did you want to add something?
Yeah, and I know that there was just a question earlier about, being able to share your slide deck and resources. They just wanted absolute permission from your mouth. So I'm just going to throw that question back out there.
Yeah, you're welcome to, of course.
Okay, great. We do have another question in the chat for parents. Once in Adobe, is there any way to leave when searching for images, or are we locked into that sort of like walled garden that you described, the safe space of Adobe?
Yeah, so you are in a walled garden, and what I want to do too is just point out what's happening. Districts have the determination to leverage AI, turn it on or turn it off. So it's a district setting for that particular question. I would ask if you see the ability to generate images, your district has turned it on. The other thing that's happening is there are filters. So it is an education filters that's running in it. One of the great examples is if students search killer whale. Well, the word killer will be blocked and it'll be underlined in red and it will not populate. We could then have the conversation, what about an orca whale, a black and white whale? They'll see experiences like that. So if students are finding things that have an underlined red mark, they're re-prompted to try something that's appropriate. Gloria, that's a great question. The other thing to remind y'all is sourcing from Adobe Stock Photo Library, which is the largest stock library in the world, again, with those educational filters. So when you say, is there a way for students to leave? No, because they're leveraging the stock library that's built into product. It does not send them to a Google image search. It does not send them in. It stays within the product.
Thank you so much, Anne. And just one more question. Can you describe, is Adobe Express for EDU a web-based tool or an app to be downloaded?
Yeah, great question. It is web-based and there is iOS and Android apps that are free as well. The big differentiator is just make sure y'all are signing in with your EDU domains, and that's how you get into the Adobe Express for education. I have Adobe Express, but it's like my personal one or my professional one, and that's my personal email or my work email. My email domain is the one that gets me into the for EDU version. So, and again, the web, the apps, the experience, it's all completely free.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. If you do have questions, please feel free to keep putting those in the chat. And Anne, I know you'll stay a couple more moments and can help answer those.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go back to sharing my screen and go ahead and close us out for today. So I just wanted to thank you all so much for joining us. What a fun coincidence that today our first EdTech Playground happened to be on EdTech Day. Thank you, Anne, for bringing that to our attention. Like Anne said, we do have other playgrounds coming up this year. I'll share the date for the next one in just a moment. In the meantime, Sarah has dropped in the chat a link for our Closing Thoughts Padlet. So if you have any ideas that you'd like to share around what you learned today with Anne, a feeling that's coming up, an appreciation, something you loved, something you'll try, we should have added another column for pictures of your patches. But if you want to click on that Padlet, please feel free to drop an image of your patch in any of those columns. We welcome any feedback or reflections that you have on today's EdTech Playground. Like I promised, I just wanted to share that our next EdTech Playground is happening on October 14th, the same time, 4 to 5. It's virtual, it's free to join. If you liked what you saw today, please feel free to share with a friend or 2 or 10. Encourage them to come join us at next month's session with KQED. We'll be talking about media literacy, which is really timely because in October, we have both Digital Citizenship Week and Media Literacy Week. So we'll have lots of resources and ideas to get you set up for those events. I love that Adobe and KQED are partnering in the meantime. So if you need to get a fix of some PD in between now and then, please join that session that Anne mentioned that are linked in her slides happening at the end of this month. And I also want to share that we have a small but mighty Facebook group. So if you try something from today's session and you're looking for feedback or you have questions, please follow us on Facebook and join our conversation. And with that, I just want to thank you all so much. I know that time is a really precious resource, so I want to appreciate you for spending the time with us today. I hope you all are having an amazing start to your school year, and we'll see you again in October. Thanks, everybody.